Know how to start this show if it wasn't for Restream saying go with an exclamation mark, but here we are. Welcome. This is the 201st episode of ADSN Audionautics Deep Space Network. Welcome wherever you happen to be. Thank you ever so much for joining us. You could be anywhere in the world and you've chosen to spend your time with us, and we really appreciate that. My name's Curtis, and this week, straight away, Eon Lake. How you doing? How's the eye?
I'm good. It's I'm strangely hot. It's The weather has finally turned over here.
I thought you were making a statement about your attractiveness right there.
I would never do such a thing. No.
We'll just leave that for the chat.
Yeah. Don't let me down, chat. I do have a fragile ego. No, it's a beautiful spring day here. It's one of those started off cold, got sunny and hot by the afternoon. It's really lovely. And I'm at the top of the house, so all the heat travels up here. So it gets extra warm.
It must be unbearable in summer.
It gets hard, yeah. When I'm doing music, I have to have a fan pointed at me while I'm doing it, and all doors and windows open.
So there's no in-house microphone recording in that world.
Maybe not in high summer. Long line out to the garden or something.
Potentially. I mean, you've got to sacrifice for your art, right?
Well, yeah. Or wait until, the middle of the night or something.
Something. That would make
but
sense.
But yeah, it does get a bit warm in the summer.
That's cool, though. But
it's bright. At least it's change, it's variety. We had so many days the same over the winter period that, there's something about it as well. I think it does make things feel renewed.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I
find it inspiring.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, we sit through those hibernation periods of winter, right? And then it comes out, the sun comes out, and suddenly everything's fresh, everything's new. And whether you want to call it spring or whether you want to call it a Good Friday or whatever you want to call it, it is a period of rejuvenation and resetting and going for something beautifully new. So that's nice. What have you been doing with your sense of newness?
Yeah, I've been feeling more like getting started on writing all that music that I was going to write over the winter while I was hibernating. But I've been messing around with some old theoretical stuff, studying some things like FM synthesis. And the intricacies of that in order to make some particularly wonky noises.
I love the way this is all just a way to go make wonkier noises every day.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand a certain amount of it, but I want to know more. And some musical exploration over the last week or so has given rise to a couple of areas of exploration where I need to sort of study a bit. Just to understand processes a little bit more. Which is nice. I like that. I like when you want to do something, but you need to know more about something. So it kind of leads you in a discovery phase, finding out how to do things some more.
Do you? It's interesting. Do you kind of balance that with just twiddling knobs and seeing what happens, or do you prefer a methodological approach? I said that twice. I tried to redo it and still said it wrong.
Yeah, you know I mean, if you know me, you'll know that the answer would be both. As many different ways in as you can. And, understanding the principles of something and sort of studying it a little bit to figure out how it works is one thing, but actually getting stuck in and playing around is where we're more expected to find the inspiration to come from, I
get that. I mean, it's good to have a knowledge of how things work and also allow that kind of innocent playfulness to kind of come through in that right, it's a balance, right?
It is. I think you need to I think I need to know enough to set up my little sandbox so that I can play in it afterwards. That's the goal.
You got to set the parameters, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the things I've been doing recently have been a bit more just sort of playful, exploratory. Not sit down and write the best electronic music ever that is, carries the whole genre forward and is immediately evocative and grabbing and better than everyone else. Because that's hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, as soon as you sit
It's
down,
also not realistic.
as soon as you sit down to write a banger, or you sit down to write the best piece of electronic music ever, you're not going to have a good time with it, are you?
No, and I seem to be they're falling into this trap more and more, like listening to sort of what's out there and thinking, how can how do you need to evolve in order to fit in with all of this? And I'm almost going nuts because there's another part of me going, you need to write some good music, That's all it is. It's all it ever was, right? It's not about clever tricks and processing and stuff. These are ways of maybe wringing more out of ideas that you have, but the ideas have to come first.
They do.
Not techniques or tricks or, being a really good, producer or being really good at sound design. You still need ideas.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not, I mean, Smiling Arrows. Hi, Smiling Arrows. Nice to see you, man. Hope you're well. Writing bangers is the way. You can't just sit down and write a banger. I mean, it's good to write a banger, right? It's really good to sit down and write a banger.
It
but
is.
That's a natural thing. That's not. You're not
But
going to
yeah,
go.
I don't know anyone sat down and went, right, banger. And played a few notes and went, there you go. There it is. It's coming out already.
I can't imagine that's ever been a thing. I mean, I'd be curious. I mean, you see those interviews, don't you, where people go like, I know, I wrote this in the studio and I just knew it was going to be great. How much? I don't know how much that I kind of believe. I'm skeptical of that notion. It's this idea of a banger is it a banger, or is it a banger because everyone else said it was a banger? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's all these things that it's really easy to explain how things happen in retrospect. But everything's easy in retrospect. Everything makes more sense when you look back on it. If you could do that in a forwards direction, like into the future, it's the opposite of retro. I don't know. Future spec.
Future perspective, prospective. I suppose that would be what that is.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's just yeah. Things always seem like, I just did this and then I did this and I was thinking, it sounds so simple when you say it like that. Yeah. Why don't I do that? Everything sounds simple when you put it that way. That's why.
Exactly. I know you can put everything into a carousel and make it seem so easy, but it doesn't. You don't distill information like that. It doesn't work like that. Smiling Arrows, mixing, sound design, etc. All ways to finesse the melody first, which is interesting. When I had my time with Smiling Arrows, 2 weeks ago now, I learned quite specifically that guy is very focused on melody first and foremost, and that is what it is. That is what matters.
Right. I kind of agree. Sometimes it's harmony first for me, but yeah, melody possibly. Depends really which comes first.
Be interesting. I mean, what do you do you have a particular thing that you focus on when you're writing a track, or is it just it flows as it flows?
I could joke and answer that, but no, I try and no, I don't. I deliberately don't. I find as many different ways of starting music as I can. I don't want to get stuck in. I'm a creature of habit as enough as it is, possibly more than I should be. So I try and construct jumping off points and so on to try and make things different, and also to make sure that I'm sort of exploring new ideas. And hopefully something will come of it. So not really, no. I don't have I always start with drums or anything like that. No, I deliberately don't always start with the same thing.
That's fair. And is that, I suppose that's where the whiteboard comes into play.
That is exactly where it comes into play, yeah. Because also, the ideas tend to come... Excuse me, they found me. I don't know how, etc.
That's all those bangers you've been writing. You've got to lock them up. It's too dangerous.
Banger police. The ideas always come when I'm doing something else or working on another song. So it's easier to sort of make a note of the idea and then go, right, try that next time you're starting, so that you're not sitting down at the beginning of it, with the blank door, blank page, and going, right, ideas. Let's have an idea now.
Go.
You don't, do you? Just like write your ideas down as you have them, and then when you need them, they're waiting for you. So that's generally, it's usually me experimenting with something.
That makes sense. I get that. Experimentation is the way forward. I mean, Smiling Arrow says, you ambient guys do have different rules. I know this, but it's like trying to read a language I don't understand. I didn't realize I was an ambient guy, but I know what you mean.
I am occasionally ambient, yeah.
Occasionally ambient. I like that. Occasionally ambient.
There's another t-shirt.
There you go.
I don't know if there are words that would turn me off more. And I know there are a couple of guys I know who run labels that would agree that I'm an ambient artist. I think about the last thing that you want to hear from somebody.
Okay, right. You don't want to be pigeonholed, right? You don't
No, you need a story. There needs to be an interesting answer to. So what do you do? Not if you can answer that question quickly and easily. I don't know. I don't feel like that's a good place to be.
It's hard to. Hey, Chris, Head, nice to see you, man. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, dude.
It's yeah, I know what you mean. Like the elevator pitch for your branding, right? I struggle with it. It's like, okay, so what is Curtis in that sense? What is the Curtis project? And like,
But I think it's important to consider it. I've got an elevator pitch for Eon Lake. If I did something else, I'd have to write a different one, but I've definitely got one.
I mean, it's good to have an idea of an elevator pitch, even if it's just for appeasing the press kit releases, right? But like, it's I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just how vulnerable I'm willing to be with people on the internet. But how do you condense the sonic vibrations of my soul into something that doesn't sound like Codswallop? You know what I mean?
What you do, right, is if it sounds rubbish, do less of that. If it sounds good,
Well, no,
do more of that.
that brings up a lot. Okay, that brings up a lot because then, for example,
No, because that's actually wrong as well. Because what you do is you just do loads of everything, and then what you do once you've done loads of everything is you do an editing session where you cut out all the best bits and start using those, and just I don't like deleting stuff,
right?
because it's a bit like saying that's rubbish, that's not good enough. What I like to do is extract the best and kind of forget about all that other stuff that happened, and then start fleshing out those ideas. That's how I prefer to do it. I like to feel like I'm just sort of working on the cream of the crop. That allows me to forget how bad some of my ideas are.
It's art. There is no bad. But we do have a question directly for you from Smiling Arrows, who says, I has a question, Eon Lake. I look for riffs, hooks / moments that I build my music around. You are very good at building layers to peak, but where do you start?
If it peaks like that, usually the peak, and then doing the same thing. It's riffs or something rhythmical or something melodic or something harmonic that gets me going. Once I'm inspired, ideas just pop into my head. I hear all sorts of extra things to add, and so I just keep doing that as much as I possibly can. Try and get all the ideas out, and then when that starts to run a little bit dry, then I think, right, well, I'll take a couple of bits out of that and just play those on their own. This is where Ableton helps, really, where you can just use a couple of clips, something that you think is fundamental, but you'd like to reframe that musical idea or something. So you just play that on its own, get rid of all the rest of it, and start, how else could I treat that? What else could go with it? How could that be different? And do that a few times to come up with different sections. Things kind of happen, but generally I find the first idea and the most developed part ends up being the peak of the song, and that it's almost like starting with absolutely everything and then carving out the rest. Thinking, well, how do I build to that, or come back down from it, or But yeah, it's usually the peak that happens first, and then it's like, well, what else can I do apart from have 50 tracks running simultaneously?
This is what I mean. It's interesting you say it. It's like almost like you got the full track and then you work backwards in that degree. That's what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah,
I work in a similar vein, and it's like the 50 tracks. If you just so say you've got 50 tracks of 8-bar loop, right? Together they make no sense, right? But if you introduce them one by one, they all make sense together, and they all make sense in tandem. So you can have
yeah,
50 tracks
yeah.
running together.
I mean, you could criticize dance music and the way that it's like really regular and formulaic, the way that a new thing is just, I once heard somebody I know who hates dance music describe it as just as you're completely going to lose your mind with the repetition of it all. They add one tiny little difference, one extra thing, and then it's all going again. I do think there's a limit to the amount of new material that you can understand or assimilate in one go. I don't think I don't think it's a mistake that things have developed that way. That you sort of introduce ideas bit by bit because we bore easily and because we can't. If you just jump straight into the middle, it'll be like a while before you've understood what it is you're hearing. So there has to be a story anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have got an 8-bar loop, I'd recommend doubling it.
But
It's not long enough for me.
no, and I think that's okay. But I think the there is something to be said for whether your loop is 4 bars or 8 bars, 16 bars, 32 bars, whatever. There is credence if you are trying to understand flow and structure in the name of trial and error. The idea of just and I'll preface this by saying other DAWs are available. If you preface this by launching clips or launching your loops one by one and seeing how they interact with each other, and then just moving them through one another, panning them and filtering them, etc. You can tell that story that way in a fairly, I know, maybe my critics will be able to push me back on this, but you can bring things in and out on a fairly regular basis and still tell a story in that regard.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I would say is having regular blocks of looped material makes you write regular blocked groups of material,
Right.
and that I prefer to have a few polymeters going,
That makes sense coming from the drummer. Yeah.
so that and that. But also it just sounds less looped. Do you know what I mean? I like an idea that has a set length, but the things that are accompanying it don't necessarily have to have the same set length. They could repeat at irregular intervals and so on, and it really breaks up that kind of sections of musical content thing, and makes you think, okay, so it doesn't necessarily change now at the end of a set number of bars because that's how long the phrase is. It now changes when it feels like it needs to change. So
Yeah.
it kind of pushes me more towards something more human,
That makes sense.
where I listen to it and feel right. And now this is the bit where it needs to do something different. And maybe I am still doing that at regular times and so on. But it's more about how I feel writing it. It makes me feel like it's more human, and by intent rather than just going, well, these are where the lines are in my door. Got to another line, so I need to change what's playing.
This is a big
You know?
line. This gray is slightly darker than the other gray. I need to have a bigger
Yeah,
change.
this block I've done is too long now. I need
Yeah.
to have another block. Yeah, I just like things that push me away from that kind of thinking, even if the output is the same.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I think how you experience making music, it needs to be fun. It needs to be human. It needs to be natural.
I'd
I
agree
think
with that.
for you to enjoy it and get into the right frame of mind.
For sure. I think this is why I've got a lot of respect for Stillhead, who I think the last time he came on the show. He was telling us about his process, and he doesn't necessarily write to a tempo, and he for sure doesn't write to the bar lengths or the bar changes in his DAW. He just writes to his vibe, and he has this collection of samples, and he puts them in where he feels it, and it's totally from a space of feeling, as opposed to any notion of loops or length or anything like that. And that is a beautiful place in which to be.
I think that comes across, really. You hear that, definitely. It doesn't feel as structured.
Yeah, in the best of ways. Of ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Interesting one from Cresshead here. I've made 8 bars, but the start is on the bar 2, not bar 1, which is quite nice. This is again.
I almost always do that, because otherwise when I'm trying to render out a mix, I always get an audio dropout at the beginning.
So you actually
I always start the track 2 bars in, 3 bars in, whatever. There's always blank at the beginning, so that if there is any dropout, it's on silence. That's going to get cut off anyway.
Makes sense. It's cool. We've got here smiling arrows. I'd love to swap that initial thing between each other, and I find a hook that I know has something. I think that says I love to have other people's version of that and see if I can build something from it. Again,
I'm game.
Yeah, essence of collaboration right there.
Let's get down to Discord.
Let's get down to Discord. That is a very good way of doing it. If you like what you want to do and you want more than just our Wednesday meetings, for example, come down and join our Discord. That's the QR code. It is updated at the time of showing. If you like the idea of music production and a load of people that are also into music production and we like nerding out about things, come and say hi. It's also quite a good way to find new things. There's rumours, for example, of Boards of Canada doing something.
I was reading about that today.
And I wouldn't have known about that if it wasn't for Bendu putting it in the Discord. So thank you for that, Bendu. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate that.
Cheers, Ben.
Yeah, it's nice to see what's up there. So yeah, come down and say hi. It's a good place to be. If you are watching this back on repeat, because obviously all you want to do is just sit and watch our faces every single day of the week. And the QR code is dead because we don't have Nitro on Discord. Just drop me a DM and I'll get you where you want to be. It's a lovely little space.
It's a good way of sharing ideas as well.
It is, absolutely. Ideas and sharing and externalization in that sense is a really good place in which to be. So yeah. It is 28 minutes past the hour. We haven't even started with what we're talking about today. Should we shift across? Not that I'm complaining. I love these.
In the name of structure, we want to be a bit more regimental with structure of this than maybe our songs.
In theory, but hey, at the end of the day, I love vibing with people in the chat. That's what it's all about. Where are we? Yes. So. This popped up on my feed, this idea. I'm going to bring this up so people can see what we're talking about. Let me share my screen. So big news of the day is that Elektron is to be acquired by this company called Bonnier Capital, which I don't know about you, I'd never heard of until I read this right here.
No, definitely not.
No. But they are apparently, and they're really hammering this home, they are a family-owned media group and investment company. Family-owned being the priority here.
I suppose families like that have to exist somewhere.
You've got to make money as a family, Kings and queens did that back in the 1500s, and look where it got them. But that's not the point. We're here. And so, one of the big names in electronic music production, Elektron, have been acquired by basically an investment company. This is the big news of the day. Basically, Elektron is a Swedish company. They'll continue operating as they are, apparently, with their existing team, with their existing brand identity, and the product development focus that they have been arranging upon. and their subsidiaries in Los Angeles and Berlin will also remain active. The day-to-day operations, they say, will continue. Ongoing projects will continue as normal. Customers and partners should not see any immediate disruption, basically. The idea, according to Bonnier Capital, is that this acquisition is intended to provide long-term support for Elektron's growth and its international expansion, because famously Elektron has been very limited towards Sweden right about now. But the idea is to broaden the strategic resources. They will reinvest in the company, and the existing CEO will remain actively involved. So the idea is that this suggests continuity rather than a full leadership shift. This is something that we've also heard before. This deal does, in the initial phase, result in huge financial backing, but this is interesting because I brought this to you with this notion of, where have we seen this before? We've seen this before, and we've seen this many times before.
Yeah, it's a regular story. I suppose the last thing that was similar was Native Instruments, but slightly different in the sense that they were restructuring and going into insolvency. But yeah, I mean, corporate buyouts. There's the in-music buyout of all sorts of brands, including Moog. Yeah, I mean, from a certain point of view, it's a sign that you're doing something right, that you're seen as valuable in some way.
Yeah.
And I think they are. But I mean, what I really like about Elektron is they've got that kind of, they do their own thing very much. They're a little bit quirky in the way that a small organization is. But at the same time, you know, they're able to mass produce equipment enough for them to be as popular as they are. I mean, they are used a lot and everybody likes them. Yeah, they seem to be very popular with people, especially people who want to play live. Partly because they're quite flexible, I think, but also because they're pretty sturdy.
The build quality is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could produce more units and ship them, you know, further if they had more backing. And that's probably a good thing. I mean, nothing much is going to change in the first 6 months of an acquisition anyway. You know, there would be all the usual information gathering before anybody would even think about making any changes. So I don't think there's anything to be concerned about yet. Sounds like good news. Maybe they'll be able to develop additional lines. Maybe they'll be able to produce more, ship more, have a better reach. Yeah, I mean, they mentioned the G word. There's always the G word.
It's always
You know, because growth is vital. But I mean, they've not been around that long, and they're relatively small, I think, compared to some others. So yeah, I'm hoping it means new things. What would you most like to see if they're able to sort of do more? What would you like to see?
I like that idea. It'd be nice to see.
I would like to see, I don't know, clearer product lines, really.
What do you mean, like a more supply, basically?
Well, no, I would like better definition between their products. You know, just to have some, you know, like a Digitect is a lot like an Octatrack, but with less features in some areas, and you know, better suited to other things. And then, you know, there's overlap. There's a lot of overlap between their devices, but you know, some have some features, some have other features. I don't know. It's never really made sense to me, you know, how they're intended to go together or complement each other. It seems to have been more like about, well, you know, if your use case is this, then this box will be more for you. If your use case is this, then this box will be more for you, etc. I don't know.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I've always seen it in that regard. I've always seen it as a bit like the starting Pokemon, in the sense that there's a lot of overlap between them. They do some slightly special things individually, and you can't necessarily get everything out of one, so you've got to catch them all. And that's kind of how I on the flip. That's how
Which
I
feels a
see
little
it.
cynical. I also think that if you're manufacturing a device that is sample based or audio file based in some way, and the only method of getting audio files on and off the box is a USB cable, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
I said it. That's right. Somebody's got to. It's just not right. I mean, if it hasn't got an SD card slot on it, then why? Why do I have to use your software in the USB cable? Software that may not be supported without the right driver, all the rest of it. Can I just have some sort of class compliant interface so I could just put files on a thing and stick it in the side? Something that's easy to change, It seems madness not to.
Yeah, it does. I hear what you're saying in that regard. I hear what you're saying, and that is fair. I don't know. I think that, I mean, I love the fact that the SP404, for example, has an SD card going on in it.
Yes.
It's not the smoothest kind of acquisition of sounds, but it will do in that regard, and it's foolproof. So I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think maybe they'll bring something through. I want to push back on a few things you said, but I also there's Lars in the green room. So should we bring him in before?
Yes, by all means.
Let's get him in. Oh, he's not there.
We have an empty chair.
We have an empty chair in Lars. It's okay. Oh, there he is. There he is. Look what he's up to. Love that.
Oh, hey guys.
Hi, I should have
There
checked.
he is.
Hey, how's it going?
Definitely should have checked before bringing you in. But hey, that's fine. I was just so excited to see it. How you doing, bro?
Good. How y'all doing?
Doing all right.
Good, yeah.
Doing all right. Still here.
So I see that today we're talking about my favorite subject, mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah. Everybody gets a little hot for mergers and acquisitions.
I could not contain myself in the chat, y'all. I'm so sorry.
It's up there with shareholder value for me.
Oh God, man, I'm so hot right now. Let me calm down. So like with Elektron getting acquired, I don't want to be cynical, but I remember there was another industry that I really liked, this thing called gaming, and there started to be a whole lot of mergers and acquisitions in gaming, and all of a sudden it kind of sucks now. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen here, though. Like, what was the name of this company that acquired Elektron?
They are called Bonnier Capital.
I don't like the way that sounds, but okay.
It sounds very Bond villainy in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to bring this. I mean, I understand, the benefits of investment, and I understand the benefits of helping Elektron, which is a relatively small company, grow. Yeah. I don't want to necessarily go the other way completely and be cynical, but I'm a little bit cynical. Like I mean, if you look at, it was only what, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, that the three of us were sitting here talking about Native Instruments and talking about what happened on the back end of their merger and what's been happening after their acquisition a couple of years down the line. And I find it difficult. Everything is action and pattern, right? And I can't believe that a venture capitalist company that doesn't really have much to do or much knowledge of the music production world. I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe it'll take a couple of years, but I can't see it. I don't know.
I don't know what the move is here. Like for Elektron, obviously they want more money so they can have more distribution. But what does the capital firm get out of this? Because you know how they act when they don't get their money back. So
presumably, they assume that Elektron in 5 to 10 years will be worth a lot more money than it is now.
Yeah.
To express how I feel about it, I would probably just describe it slightly differently and say that the small Swedish company Elektron, who are currently not doing anything particularly wrong, have been acquired. I just hope that that they've got leadership that will listen to what Elektron are doing right, because they've clearly built something. If it's something worth buying, then they're doing something right, and you need to, whatever your business plan is, you need to continue doing what you're doing right.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, Eon, and I accept it. I have to, the little devil in me is just like, what does a venture capitalist company know about the growth of digital synthesizer hardware? What do they know about, what do they know about what a good market is? What do they know about market ingenuity? What do they know is going to work? Are they just going to throw a load
If
of
I
money?
knew that, I'd be a venture capitalist.
It's actually really easy. You just got to remember one thing: line go up. That's all you need. Line go up.
And that's the thing, right?
I mean, you could put that a different way and say, with everything that's going on in other areas of the music industry at the moment, it would seem to some to be a strange time to be looking to acquire any kind of music tech company.
Yeah.
Because of AI and all the implications of that are going to be shaking up the industry for some time to come. It's a less certain world, shall we say, than it has been for a long time, and I think that maybe makes it an interesting time for me to make a decision like this as a venture capitalist firm. But then again, if that is what you do, and if you stop doing it just because things are a bit weird at the moment, that's probably not a sustainable business model.
Yeah. And I think that's where Native Instruments messed up, because like before they declared their insolvency and everything, the last few years before that, they weren't really developing any new products. It looked like it was mainly just them acquiring like other smaller companies. Like first they acquired Isotope, and then they acquired another plug-in manufacturer as well. Like they were trying to be like some kind of like conglomerate or hub or whatever for music tech. And I think they just bit more off than they could actually chew. So now they're insolvent because they spent all that money acquiring stuff instead of building new products. And I hope the same thing does not happen to Elektron.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're, here's what gets me. Okay, it's encouraging to see that the CEO is staying on, and it's encouraging to see, at least in the short term, the ideas and the aspirations of Elektron are continuing. That's fair. I'll give you that. I am hesitant to give them everything, in the sense that what is it that makes a venture capitalist company successful? And that's growth. That's the G word, right? And you've got to have continuous growth, and you've got to have continuous kind of movement. And I don't know. I think that we've talked. I was talking to Smiling Areas about this a couple of weeks ago, and I think we talked about it a few times on air. People in the music production world, to a large extent, once they've got the gear that they've got, don't tend to kind of experiment any further. We might acquire pieces of gear, we might acquire extra bits and bobs, we might buy a gazillion guitar pedals from different parts of the world, looking at you, Lars, and that's okay. That's all good. We might do that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a problem.
No one's saying you got a problem, bro. That's on you. But the bare kind of like the basis of what we use to make music doesn't tend to change. Once you found your flow, your flow, right? Like I've had my Novation Nova now for 7 years, and it's in everything I do, right? Now, obviously, this is all about me, but I feel like if you're a venture capital, coming back to the idea of growth, if you're a venture capitalist and you have to make a profit margin and you have to make a growth at every single point, not everyone's going to want to buy a Digitone or a Digitact or a Syntact or an Octatrack or something like that. And once you've bought one, I don't know if you're going to buy another one. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I don't want to bring up the S word, but I think they might try the S word. Subscription model.
What, like
Mhm.
rent to buy or rent to own?
Rent to buy, or they're going to figure out some way to do like expansion packs. Like Machine kind of did the same thing where they had they were $50 a piece, but they would sometimes be on sale for $25. But they're these big expansion packs for Machine. Usually comes with like drum kits, certain synth sounds, presets, stuff like that. So I could imagine if
Which
they
you
really
can
want
already
that
get.
growth, yeah,
There are some already, yeah, but it's perhaps they're not perhaps wringing as much from it as they could. And when you look at people like Akai and the MPC stuff that you can buy,
yeah,
that's a fair point.
I mean, it's that is fair. Another fair point from Bendu. At some point, Elektron was a company that had been making the same 3 machines for 10 or so years. So this is just a continuation of what has been happening since.
yeah.
Maybe this is.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I kind of appreciate anybody who wants to just focus on a few things and try and get those right, rather than overextend themselves and send out, produce things that are perhaps flawed and so on. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly grown in size since then. But yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
Does that on the back end of that mean that we'll similarly, should we say, maybe see an expansion of different pieces of hardware? Chris has been putting some things into the chat since before we went live. They're more like budget series, for example, and kind of expand outwards to try and compete with the likes of Roland or Teenage Engineering in that regard, but then spread themselves too thin.
Well, I think Roland is going to be hard to compete with because they've been in the game since like the 70s. Like they've been around for a long time. And Teenage Engineering is going to be difficult to compete with because they're unhinged. Like they're just such an unhinged company in the music space, right? Like everything they make is just so weird. It's like, how is it I can get like a whole like sampler, kind of like, an expandable sampler for like $350, but you're going to sell me a table for $1,600? Like, what are we doing here? Compete with that.
Let's do what they want.
Yeah, and they have wacky design if you like wacky design. But at the same time, there are always going to be people who say, I like wacky stuff, but really this is about making music, and I'm quicker and more efficient when I've got something that's designed more like a German car, where everything's clearly visible and everything's sort of like form and function, and you could just get on with it. And the only ego in the room is yours, not each bit of equipment you're using.
I mean, that makes sense.
All right.
I hear that. A continuation from Bendu, if you got the miss a detail in the comments, is that they've been bought before. Apparently, this is the second acquisition of Elektron. And the expansion of their product line came after they were bought.
Oh. Do we know who bought them the first time?
No, but if you keep talking, I'll find out.
I mean, that's no bad thing. I mean, they were bought, presumably that brought more investment. They were able to do more stuff. I mean, and this will likely continue that trajectory. I'd agree with Ben on that. Yeah. I mean, what would you want them to do with this? If they have more flexibility and reach now, does that mean that there are issues you think with their product set that they could perhaps address? Maybe they could realize economies of scale and bring the price down slightly.
That would be nice.
I kind of like the idea of like the stripped down, like kind of mini synth or mini station or whatever, kind of like Roland did with some of theirs, like they scaled them down to very small sizes. I think Elektron could do something like that because their flagship products are like around $600-$700.
Yeah, which is not a
probably $700-$800 more like. Yeah.
I guess if they could come up with a product that's like in the like $100 to $300 range, they might be able to expand that way. But I don't think they would want to go with making something more expensive or bigger. But
yeah. Something portable, perhaps. with SD card slots and a battery.
No,
Chris
no,
suggests.
no. You don't get to be happy. I'm sorry, sir.
It's not me. It's Chris Head who wants to be happy.
I'm sorry, Chris said. None of us get to be happy. You got to keep using that cable straight to the computer.
Got to have software. Just to circle back, I have done a little bit of searching here. So before Bonnier Capital, it was owned by another Swedish venture capitalist company called EMM Intressenter AB. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So fair play. Thank you, Bendu, for bringing that.
All right.
So it's one venture capitalist nation to another. They haven't published the details of the acquisition in terms of finance. We don't know if EMM made any money off selling it to Bonnier, but we'll have to see in that regard.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I found this, and I'm curious. I was curious to see what the community thought, because I don't know. I am a bit more cynical about this whole other thing. We're just seeing a continuous kind of monopolization of music devices, music creation devices, going into the hands of non-creative, incentivized people, right? And I don't know. I don't see that as a necessarily positive thing. I like Elektron. I've never owned an Elektron piece, mainly because of the price range. I mean,
yeah.
So maybe that will bring it down, and maybe I'll change my tune, and that would make me a hypocrite. But that's okay.
No, that's the G word. That's growth.
That's growth.
That's growth.
Yeah.
That's growth. Yeah.
And we contradict ourselves naturally as human beings.
That's true. That is true. I don't know. I think it's interesting to bring out, like, we see these acquisitions come through thick and fast, and we see these companies merge, and we see these things come through. I don't see any of my gear getting cheaper. That's the other side of it, basically.
Yeah, I think more than that, if I were in the making machines for music making business, I'd be worried about the future at the moment, because there's less disposable income for people to spend on this. I think, the bubble has burst to a certain degree. I think as far as, everybody wanting to get into music technology and making music in some way. I think maybe that wasn't never their particular market, but if anything, there is probably less of that now. I think there's a certain weariness. I think there's a bubble where everybody thought that, a bit of hustle culture and streaming was going to save them. Beginning to realize now that was an elaborate bait and switch, and they've been duped.
You mean it's not going to save us?
No, you're going to have to save yourself, I'm afraid.
I thought we just had Easter. I thought Jesus was going to come and save all our sins.
Well, it would take that, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I just if you were in that business, would you think, this is a real growth market at the moment? Or would you think, people have got less money today than they've ever had, and now somebody's decided that we needed artificial intelligence to create music because apparently it's not enjoyable. Ironically, it was somebody with an AI company that decided that, so they might have been biased. But
what? The guy who runs the AI company advocating for people to replace musicians with AI?
Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Man,
yeah. Absolutely shocking.
I never would have guessed, dude. Wow.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see figures around, how buoyant the market is at the moment for this kind of sector. I would be interested to know, are people buying the same amount of gear that they were a year, 2 years ago?
Or maybe
is there the same market?
Well, maybe they see something we don't, right? You're completely right. People do have less disposable income, and people do have less money to spend, particularly on higher end, more specialized equipment, such as the stuff that Elektron does, right?
Yeah.
But in the same way that, stick with me here, in the same way that vinyl is more expensive than it's ever been, but it is not more popular than it's ever been, but it's on par with popularity as it's been. And maybe they're looking to see some form of parity with that, right? Like people moving away from screens, people moving away from working digitally, as in inside the DAW, for example, trying to be more doorless,
The doorless generation.
The doorless generation, you know, it's.
Is there a doorless generation coming? Do you think?
I feel like, I don't know, man.
To some extent, I think there is. Yeah.
I feel like there's something coming there. I feel like there's definitely a shift. Maybe I'm getting a bit grandiose, right? But there's definitely a shift coming. Live electronic music production, or live electronic music, is becoming more tangible. It's becoming more possible. Whereas, you know, it's always been easy for a rock band to rock up at a dive bar with all their gear, but trying to get a solo electronic musician to do the same thing is a little bit more difficult.
Oh, I like that idea. I like the idea of some punky sort of electronic musician just having a few weird wonky bits of kit, turning up and blasting out some really odd music.
Yeah, totally. Lars?
That does appeal.
Yeah, I personally enjoy it myself.
Exactly. But I suppose that's my point, is that this is becoming more into the... More and more non-music people are switching on to the idea of electronic music as a genre, more and more consuming, more and more listening. Maybe that creates a space which hasn't yet emerged. Maybe there's a market there for more people on the road, right? You know.
Yeah. And if there's one thing I do believe, it's that music is for everybody who has a mind to get involved in music and wants to pick up an instrument and play it, or make some sounds of their own somehow.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like a human right, you know, the right to express yourself somehow, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the same way as everyone has a right to paint a picture if they want, you know.
Absolutely. We'll have to see how it pans out. Obviously, this is very early days. Obviously, this is, you know, these things take years. It was 2 or 3 years before Native Instruments filed for insolvency after being bought out. So we'll have to see. But it's lovely to see where everyone thinks, or how everyone thinks about it. And I'd like to move to this notion of very human self-expression towards the end of the show. But I'd like to see if is there anything more on that, or should we move across to this beautiful thing that came out?
I would just say in closing that I don't think it represents the change in ethos of, say, you know, the Moog brand getting bought by a large company and shutting down the Asheville facility and so on. That's a change in the way that things are done and in ethos and about what they're all about. Whereas this, you know, feels like, you know, from a certain point of view, just some business being done, and in theory shouldn't change much. So, yeah.
Okay. Lars, any final words on that?
We'll keep our fingers crossed that the venture capitalist company knows to keep their fingers out of things that they don't belong in. That's always what happens, is some venture capitalist firm buys it, and instead of just letting the money come, they're like, ooh, well, what if we did this? What if we did this? Like, you don't know anything about electronic instrument, guys. Like, you'd have nothing to do with this. Like, just leave that to the people who know what they're doing over there, and let the money roll in.
Let the money roll in.
Let the money roll in. Come on now.
Let it be, right? Let it be.
Exactly.
Yeah. I won't add to that because you two have summed it up in a really nice way. And I have nothing more to add to that. So I would like to highlight an album that, I don't know about you guys, but a couple of weeks ago there was just an explosion of people releasing music. I mean, Lars, I think you released an album. I think Error Prone also released an album.
Most of them I'm speaking to at the moment.
Yeah, so many people released an album, and this one slipped under my radar. So I wanted to bring
Mine
it.
too.
Yeah, and I want to bring it to the community to see. Lovely known artist, Artiste.
Yeah, this is
This slipped under the radar, at least on my end. So I want to give it the credence that it deserves. I mean, look at that artwork first and foremost. Beautiful. This is a new album by known artist, which is, beautiful artist, beautiful human. Lars, have you heard it already?
I wrote a whole review on it. That's why I'm wondering, how did it slip under your radar?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't. I think I even read. You know what it was? I think what it is I read your review, and I think what it might have been is just that week I was just showcasing something different music. I think I'm trying to think about who it is. Like the last couple of weeks, I've had Stilled's album. We've played your album. We played my album. Obviously,
of course.
I think that's just what it was. I just think by the time that it came through, I think I'd already picked yours or something like that. It's never anything personal or anything. I rarely think these things through. You know.
Same. I never think things through. I just kind of start acting.
So exactly right. So like, okay, so I mean, as the person who wrote a review on this, Lars, do you want to tell us your thoughts and tell us how this makes you feel?
It just took me back to my PS1 days, because you would get those stupid little demo discs where there's racing games, all that stuff, and for whatever reason, it's just breakbeat was everywhere. Just the nicest, smoothest, sometimes the ugliest breaks out there. And I enjoyed listening to it. It was one of those. It feels like a really good kind of like spring summer album. Like, this is something you could drive around in the car listening to, and people aren't going to look at you too crazy, you know?
Too crazy being the operative.
Too crazy. I mean, I'll share an anecdote about Chick-fil-A later, but
it's got nothing to do with the album. It's just
nothing to do with this album. Not at all.
It is really fun. Since realizing that I neglected to play it on the show, I've been going back over it. A lot of breakbeats, a lot of blending between jungle and drum and bass in that regard, but with that, like you say, very PS1 nostalgia vibe.
I just need a music video that has low poly everything, you know?
Yeah.
It's somebody's head, but it looks like it's just a cube. Got a little face painted on it. Wonderful. I miss that.
That's all you need, right? There's simpler times, right? Screw all this high definition bullshit. Give me a cube and give me a sound. That's all I need.
The kids today want low poly. Low poly,
Grandma. Give us low poly. That's all we need.
Good.
Let's play a track, and I'm gonna, in true Audionautic tradition, I'm gonna play the full track through because why the hell not?
Which one are you playing?
Well, I was gonna say, Lars, do you have a favorite? Let's play your favorite. Aristocrat. Okay, all right. So we'll do that. That was very. Yeah. You've been thinking about this, haven't you?
I like that. Yeah,
that one. That was like the track on that album that just stuck out to me the most.
Well, let's do it then. Let's do it. This is Aristocrat by known artiste.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very Ridge Racer 1 for me, and I love it.
Ridge Racer 1. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way of looking at it. It's such a vibe. It just takes me back to, it reminds me of like 1080 snowboarding on the Nintendo 64.
That one, yes. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
just pure nostalgia vibes. It's an absolute track. I'm gonna put the link again in the chat for anyone. People are vibing with that. And I'm gonna put that there. And it's also in our description for this week. So yeah, go support.
With that.
Name your price on Bandcamp. Can't say fairer than that. And you can get the entire discography for $2.33. So yeah, pretty good from known artists, not gonna lie. But then again, everything that he does in its own way just smashes reality and beautiful.
Yeah, he'd be annoying if he wasn't such a nice guy, wouldn't he?
Such a humble dude.
Wow.
I think I'll just do this, and that's awesome too. Oh, nice one.
Yeah, good on you, bro. Good on you.
Wow.
Do you do crap music at all?
Oh wow.
Love it. So that serenades us all towards the end of the show, and we're getting there. So let's kind of wrap this up. So Lars, what do you have in store for yourself this week, bro?
So I'm gonna try and finish up the last bits of this other album that I'm working on, and aside from that, I have to help my wife purge her closet of clothes. So I have an action-packed weekend, guys.
I mean, that's all the doing.
Oh, all the doing. Yes, it takes some time to do for myself, but I am contractually obligated.
I mean, I don't know if you thought about it, but like, just put a recorder in the corner while you're helping with the clothes, and then run that through all your new guitar pedals and see what kind of comes out. That could be quite fun.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna get so annoyed if I do that.
Can we not do something that doesn't go through your pedals?
Anything? Just having it. I'm gonna go get the who was it? The Peter Frampton talk box. That's how we're gonna have our arguments from now on.
Perfect. I mean, parents' evening, right? You just go and talk to your kids' teachers, and then you just got a recorder in your exactly. That's all you need. Sounds like a good balance of family and taking time for yourself, Lars. What about you, Eon?
I'm gonna be. It'll be a dual-pronged thing. Working on my stuff a little bit, and also working on some weird psychedelic stuff at the same time.
Go on.
I'm in the mood for.
Go on.
Yeah, so we're cooking something behind the scenes that's a bit different. Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
More modular stuff, basically. I'm going to be making the weirdest sounds I can out of my modular gear. Been having some fun with it over the last week.
Very nice.
Has that got anything to do with the video that you sent me that I haven't watched yet from before the show?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
I look forward to watching that. That's good, man. That sounds like a beneficial week, full of productivity. Right, you got to take these dual-pronged approaches. Right, you got to stick to the family, and you got to take time for yourself. It's ever more difficult in this day and age. So nice one for doing that.
What about you?
Yeah. What am I doing? It's a good question. I have got.
What are you doing? Why are we here? What's going on?
I know, right?
What year is it?
I'm actually working right through till Sunday this week in the real world, so I'm not gonna have much time in the studio. That's fine.
Oh.
I'm hosting a rock band festival at the school.
Oh yeah, you were telling us about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've got kids coming from all over Europe, and they've all been studying guitar, bass, drums. Some even got some like synthesizer things going on. And they're all coming down to the theatre, and they're all going to be rocking out for a couple of days. And so my head is going to be I'll be on the mixing desk, and that's nice. I haven't done that for a while.
Nice.
All right. And so we'll go from there. But it's very much in the real world, very much kind of Yeah, there's not much Curtis time this week, but that's okay because then I get a week off, and then that's just going to be mucking around. More interestingly, though, Eon Lake, when is your album out?
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
When?
Good question. I'm going to try and get it done soon because it's in danger of turning into another album. You know, where new tracks come in and go, oh, well, I'm going to include that one now. And it's just, it's too much of a moving target at the moment. I think I'm going to sit down and go, right, it's that. And then finish that. At the moment, I'm still coming out with things that I'm thinking, this is a bit better. I think I might use this instead. I don't know. We'll see. But it's becoming a priority. The other things that I'm doing are helping me do that, strangely enough, as opposed to being a diversion. They're kind of giving me the mood to carry on.
It's got to be done, right? It's nice to make new tracks. It's always good to make new tracks, and it's good to get that dopamine hit. But calling
Sweet
something,
dopamine.
no, sweet dopamine, man. It's good to call something done, right? And say, okay, this is going to be 9 tracks, or it's going to be 10 tracks. That's it. Anything I knew I make, I can still make. I can still put out later. I can still put it out at another time. But this is that album.
Yeah, a line will be drawn very soon.
That fills me with confidence. Any day now, we're going to draw that line, and that is enough. I've had it up to here.
Yeah.
I'm
going to have a stern word with myself.
Which you have to see. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you ever so much for the
Thank you
guys
for asking.
Yeah,
Chris said.
we are all sitting here. This entire show is and will continue to be geared around waiting. Maybe this is the longest marketing campaign that you're doing. Maybe this is your whole idea. We're just going to keep teasing this notion. And so, you don't even have to do a release video or anything like that. It's going to be like, yep, it's out. And all of us are just in this space where we're just waiting for it.
Yeah, I just have to wait so it becomes a running joke.
Yeah. I like
Eon, you can't do a GTA 6 to us, man. Not appreciated.
No, too good for that, bro. Too good for that. Absolutely.
Okay. No pressure.
No pressure. If you would like to apply more pressure to Eon Lake, maybe consider becoming a patron. Sorry about this, Lars. We're just covering you up for a second there. But the more patrons that sign up, the quicker that Eon Lake will finish his album. And I say that right now.
Yeah, if you join at a sufficient tier, you can come on the show and pressurize me in person.
Worth it.
Absolutely. Lars is the living embodiment of that reality. We always welcome more. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you ever so much. It is the patrons who keep this show running, quite literally. We could not do this without you. Thank you ever so much. You keep this place alive. You keep us kicking. You give me a reason to keep showing up every week. It's beautiful, So yeah, thank you ever so much for everything you do. We love you. And really appreciate the support and your presence week in and week out. If you like the show and you like what you do, consider becoming a patron. Don't have to. There's no obligation to. But if you wanted to, it's still only $2 a month. I'm not putting those prices up anytime soon. Mainly because I keep forgetting.
Inflation.
Oh.
Yeah.
So get it now before I get a spurge of inspiration and put it up by maybe 50 cents. No, I'm not going to do that. It's fine. Yeah. $2 is $2.
Before Curtis is purchased by venture capitalists.
We'll have to do that. Anyway, we will be back next week. I believe, yes. There's nothing. Yeah, I'm specifically staying around in Prague until we do the show. So yeah, that's what we'll do. So we will be back then. I'm going to try and bring something demo-y, something different. I haven't done a demo kind of thing in a couple of weeks. So going to think about that, bring something to the table, some exploration, some ideas, going to get techie. We've been very newsy. We've been very philosophical over the last couple of weeks, which is lovely. I love it. But I have the time to do something a bit more demo-y, so that's what we're going to do. I'm setting that intention out now. I'm putting that into the cloud space so that I have some accountability from the community. So that's what we're going to do. Like I say, we'll be back next week. Thank you ever so much. Really appreciate your time, your energy, your presence here. It's lovely. Any final words, gents?
Love to the patrons, always.
Love to the
Thank
patrons,
you for
always.
being with us, everyone.
Absolutely.
Hang out the Discord if you want.
Yeah, that's a nice place to be. I like that. We'll be back next week. I'll say that again because that just became one noise. We will be back next week. Much love. Take care. Enjoy your studio time.
Mergers and acquisitions.
Mergers and acquisitions. Much love.